and welcome to another concept video of Dissect Edu Solutions. This is a concept video on addition and subtraction of fractions. If you have not already seen the DIY activity of addition and subtraction on fractions, then I suggest that you watch that first before you go ahead with this video. So we have already understood that fractions are nothing but parts of whole. So when we talk about addition and subtraction of fractions, we are just talking about addition and subtraction of parts. So let us quickly recap what are the types of fractions that we have seen and how then we can proceed to how we add and subtract fractions. So there are two types of fractions, broad two categories, like fractions and unlike fractions. A very simple explanation of like fractions would be that they have same denominators. But what exactly is happening when we say that they have same denominators? Let us look at these three fractions, 1 by 4, 2 by 4, and 3 by 4. So if you have a one whole and you divide it into 4 parts and select only one out of it, that is 1 by 4. Same way here, the whole has been divided into 4 parts, but now you have selected 2 parts. And here there are 4 parts again, of which we have selected 3 parts. Now, if you notice the size of each part, whether it is in the first fraction or second fraction or third fraction, the size of each part is equal, same, identical. That means that all these 3 fractions are like fractions. The size of each part is same. It doesn't matter how many sections have we selected out of those, but each section or each part has the same size. That is what is important when we are talking about like fractions. Now, logically, when we talk about unlike fractions, the size has to be different, right? Let us see if that is the case. So if we talk about a fraction 1 by 2, 2 by 3, and 3 by 4, they all have different denominators. A very simple explanation would be different denominators. But if we look at visually what is happening, the size of the part in all these fractions, single part, we are talking about size of single part of the fraction, each of them has a different size. So that's why these are all unlike fractions. So now we are going to study about addition and subtraction of fractions. We will quickly recap how we do the addition and subtraction of like fractions, and then we will move on to unlike fractions, right? So addition and subtraction of like fractions is fairly simple, very straightforward. If you want to explain very easily to someone, very simply to someone, you just explain in this format. That when you have denominators which are equal and you want to do either addition or subtraction, so whenever in different fractions the denominators are equal, you simply carry out the operation on numerators. That's it. So 2 by 6 plus 3 by 6, because the denominators are equal, we just simply carry the denominator as it is and we carry out the operation on the numerator. So 2 plus 3, we get 5. But this is a very simple, straightforward explanation. Let us also see what is happening visually. Here, 2 by 6 means that we have 2 selected portions or sections or parts out of one whole. So whole has been divided into 6 parts and we have selected 2 parts. Here we have the same size of whole and it is also divided into 6 parts. And here we have 3 parts which are selected. Now, what does addition mean? It means collection. So I have collected 2 selected parts from here and 3 selected parts from here because it is an addition. And if we put it here, then we get 5 selected parts out of total 6. And that is what the answer is. Similarly, for subtraction, as I said, 3 by 4 minus 1 by 4, if the denominators are same, we simply carry that denominator in the answer also and carry out the operation on the numerator. So 3 minus 1 will give us 2. But visually, let us see what is happening. we have 3 parts out of 4 which have been selected in this fraction, minus we have 1 part out of 4 which has been selected in this fraction. Now, because it is minus, we are going to remove. So whatever is the common part out of these 2 fractions, we will remove that. So this section here is common with this section here. If we remove it, we are left only with 2 sections out of 4 which are selected, right? So 2 by 4 is our answer. Now this is pretty straightforward, very simple to understand, very simple to perform. There is a slight more complexity in unlike fractions, and let us see how we do that. So what do we mean by unlike fraction? We understood that when denominators are not same, it is unlike fraction. And we also saw that the size of one piece of an unlike fraction when compared to, one piece of 2 different unlike fractions will not match. So here is a very exaggerated example. If I want to do 1 by 11 plus 2 by 3, now here one piece size is very small. Here one piece size is very large. I cannot say I have 2 parts out of 11 and 3, 14 parts. That is not possible, right? Here we have a very small piece. All the other pieces are also very small. Here the pieces are very big and the selected pieces are also very big. So the wholes are identical. However, the parts are not comparable. So single part from first fraction is not same as single part from second fraction. So we cannot say that one part of this fraction, first fraction, and 2 parts of the second fraction make 3 parts. We cannot say that. The only way to solve this is to equalize the parts. So if I can express this part in form of this size, that is called equalization of parts, equalization of fractions. So if we have to find equivalent fraction, the actual technical term is equivalent fraction. We have to find that, and then we can solve it in a very easy manner. So let us see how to do that. Let's do it by an example. If I am taking the example of addition, I have, let's say 1 by 4. I have a fraction 1 by 4 here. And then I have 5 by 8 here. Look at this. I have 8 sections. And there are 5 sections which are selected. Here there are 4 sections, 1 is selected. So my question is 1 by 4 plus 5 by 8. Now the size of this part and the size of this part is not comparable. So we cannot directly add the parts. But what we observe is the orange part is exactly double the size of blue part. So what we can do, we can simply cut the orange part in 2 pieces. And if we cut this piece in 2 parts, this part in 2 pieces, then we have to do the same with the rest of the parts also, right? So we cut all these sections, all these parts into 2 pieces each. And now our fraction transforms into total 8 parts, out of which 2 will get selected, because this one piece is equivalent to 2 smaller pieces. So I have converted my fraction from one form to another, keeping the value same. This is what equivalent fraction means. 1 by 4 has now transformed into 2 by 8. My value hasn't changed, but the way in which I express the fraction has changed. So now what happens is I have 2 by 8 on one side and I have to add to 5 by 8. Now this is a very simple question for addition of like fractions. It is simply 8 in the denominator and 2 plus 5, 7 in the numerator. Let us look at it even in the visual format. I have 2 parts selected here out of 8 parts. And I have 5 parts selected here out of total 8 parts. So if I pick up these 2 and I add 2 here, 2 parts here, then I will have a total of 7 parts which will be selected out of the 8 parts. And that is what my answer is. Now, remember in this explanation here, one step of how to convert 1 by 4 to 2 by 8 has been skipped for the interest of time. But we will definitely learn about this in the online session when we conduct it. You also have to ensure that you show those calculations about how you came up to the value of how do you found out the equivalent fraction, right? So we will look at those steps. Definitely your answer will definitely require those steps. Here we have skipped in the interest of time. Let us look at one more example where we will carry out subtraction. So imagine you have a fraction 2 by 3, and if you want to remove 1 by 4 out of 2 by 3. So your question is 2 by 3 minus 1 by 4. So here I have a fraction where a whole where I have cut the whole in 3 parts, and I have selected 2 out of those. Same way I have a same size of whole, and I have cut those whole into 4 parts, and I have selected 1 part out of it. Now it is very clear that if a whole has been divided into 3 parts, and the same whole, if I divide it into 4 parts, the section, each part will not be of same size. We need to make it of same size. Here we have 3 parts out of 1 whole, and here we have 4 parts out of 1 whole. The way to do it is we do an operation called cross multiplication. Okay, if we are talking about how to solve it in numbers, we do an operation called cross multiplication. So what we do, this whole fraction we multiply by the denominator of the other fraction, and the second fraction we multiply it by the denominator of the first fraction. So this is the whole operation that we do in numbers. So 2 into 4 divided by 3 into 4, minus comes as it is. 1 into 3 divided by 4 into 3. And when you solve this, you get 8 by 12 minus 3 by 12. Okay. And when you solve that, you get 5 by 12. So this is how you solve it in the numerical form. But let us look at what happens in the visual form. So we are here, we have 2 selected and 1 selected out of these fractions. Now making equivalent means we need the parts, the size of the parts to be same size. Now what can we do to make this fraction look same as this fraction size? So we can easily do one thing. We cut each of these pieces into 4 parts for this fraction, and for this fraction we cut each of these pieces into 3 parts. Okay, so here I am showing each of the parts has been cut into 4 parts, and here each of the parts has been cut into 3 parts. So now let us look at it. There are a total of 12 individual parts within this whole fraction. Same way here there are a total of 12 parts within this whole fraction, which means within this whole. So which means each part here and each part here, they are both of equal size. Now we can definitely do the operations. So here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 selected parts. That is what we got here, right? 8 out of 12. And here there are 3 selected parts, which we got here 3 out of 12, right? Now, if you remove, let's say 1, 2, and 3 parts from here, and these 3 will also go. So if you remove these 3 parts, then you are left only with these 5 parts. So 8 minus 3, 5. These 8 selected minus these 3, we get 5 parts, 5 out of 12. So this is how you carry out addition and subtraction of unlike fractions. The idea is very simple. We have to convert the unlike fractions into like fractions before we can do any kind of operation. And how we can convert unlike fraction into like fraction is by using the concept that we have learned about equivalent fractions. So you try and make visually, if you think about it, you try and make the size of each and every part of the whole of same size in both the fractions. And when you have done that, you can directly do the operations on the like fractions. Hope you understood this video and the concept properly. If you have any doubts, feel free to visit the relevant section of this video again and understand it properly. Thank you. Happy learning.
All the materials used in this activity are available in DBox along with other learning and teaching aids. For more information on DBox for home use, school program and CSR program, visit the link given in the description of this video. If you found this video helpful, then please hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you have still not subscribed to our channel, then do subscribe and click on the bell icon to get all updates. We hope to see you in our next video. Happy learning.